and Fire. Thursday, October 14th, 2021. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Absolutely. Director Gould,
Here.
Barzali,
Here.
Wood,
Here.
Director Sheets is absent. Director Jones,
Here.
White,
Here.
Clark. Director Clark, you're muted. All right, Director Sailors,
Here.
Director Kelly is absent.
Thank you. And let's stand and say the pledge to the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the
Republic for which it stands.
nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Metro Cable announcements. The open session meeting is cable cast on Metro Cable 14, which replays on Friday, October 15th at 6 p.m. and Sunday, October 17th at 9 a.m. on Channel 14. Webcast at metro14live.saccounty.net. We now have the public opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within the district jurisdiction, including items on or not on the agenda. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers?
I did not have anybody contact me ahead of time, but Art, if you please unmute all attendees so they have the opportunity to speak.
Yes, hi attendees. You have the ability to unmute yourselves. If you'd like to present anything to the board, please do so at this time. Looks like none.
Thank you. Our next item is the consent, but before we do this, we have moved consent item number 3 to action. It'll be action item number 3. Okay,
Madam Chair, I move consent agenda for items 1 and 2.
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Director Gould,
Aye.
Barzali,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Sailors,
Aye.
motion passes.
The next thing on our item are presentation items. First up, we have the Sacramento Area Girls Camp. Our presenter tonight will be Captain Sharon Moore from the Sacramento Fire Department. How are you?
I'm good. Good evening. Thank you, directors. Thank you for having me. Face that direction or this direction?
And so you're welcome to go wherever you'd like. We can't see you on camera if you stand back there. If you want to stand in front of the podium, you're, yeah, I'm sorry.
No problem. And 1 second just to figure out your clicker. All right. Good evening and thank you all for having me. As mentioned, I am Captain McIntyre from Sacramento Fire Department and currently the Diversity Outreach and Recruit, one of the coordinators of our team. Tonight I'd like to share with you about the Sacramento Area Girls Fire Camp. This is our second camp that we're hosting. The first since we've had the budget approved to now host this as an annual opportunity for the youth in our community to be able to participate and the young women to take advantage of this opportunity. So we still have applications available for attendees. We're pretty much right where we need to be with it regards to staff. So anyone watching this tonight, if you want to scan the QR code, you do have the opportunity to take directly to the application. You can fill out the application as part of the day. All right, so the camp itself is going to be held October 23rd and 24th. So it is a one-day camp held 2 consecutive days in a row, 9-hour days for the staff, 8-hour days for the attendees. So the camp itself is 5 rotations through 5 different skill stations. With that, you'll have 5 girls split up in 5 different groups. So 25 campers per day will rotate through this. So they will be posted by Sacramento Fire Department, but regionally, we have a number of attendees who are coming in to have, that are professional firefighters to help actually coach the young ladies. So the young ladies themselves will be directed, the group leaders will be female, their lead instructors will be female, and assistants will be a mix of male and female, so they get that opportunity to see that collaborative relationship of women being accepted in the fire service and encouraged. So the 5 skill stations themselves consist of, the first one is engine operations and hose handling. This gives those young ladies an opportunity to actually connect the fire hose to the engine, see how that water flows through there, what that process looks like, and get the chance to actually flow water through the lines and advance and hit their target. So in this case, it's not actually live fire, it's just a bop dog, but it gives them that excitement, that energy, working together as a team to accomplish the objective that's set in front of them. The SCBA search and rescue is a second station, so that gives them an opportunity. They will be in full PPE, so turnout coat, bumper pants, boots, and gloves, as well as a helmet. They'll put that SCBA on, see what that weight feels like, and get a chance to manipulate around in that. We'll teach them all the parts and pieces of it and what it feels like to actually go on and breathe air, but they won't actually be doing the task itself on air. So what they'll do, we'll teach them right-hand search. We'll start low complexity, 1-story building, move up into a 2-story building, and then ultimately use our confidence prop that we actually use in the academy. So it's a horseshoe that's darkened out where they get an opportunity to crawl through, so they see what it looks like to actually operate in a dark environment. And then we move to the higher complexity where there's actually elevation changes, where it gets a little bit narrow and they have the opportunity to get tangled up in some wires and free themselves. All the while they're searching for the complexity. So the third is the ladder station. And the ladder station itself, we teach them all the different parts and pieces of the ladder, how to throw them and then ascend them. And of course, if they do the straight side ladder, they're a little bit lighter weight, but they will climb a 24, and then it compresses in complexity as well to the aerial ladder. So this is the one where these young ladies, their confidence is really tested and they get the chance to come out of their shell and really work through that wall of whether self-imposed or otherwise, those barriers get to be broken down and they see they truly are capable of doing what they never thought themselves to be able to do before. So they ascend that 105-foot aerial ladder, and then they go off of the ladder through a window, and the entire time they are attached to a safety rope to help maintain safety of the environment that they're in. The third is the roof bend, and this is the opportunity for some of them for the first time to ever put their hands on a chainsaw, let alone actually run it, operate it, and complete the task of cutting a 4x4 vent hole, which is similar to what we do when we climb up onto a roof to vent in fire operations. There will be no smoke, but they do get the opportunity with assistance, as you can see in the photo there, the coach behind them helping them operate that saw for the first time and actually cut that hole as their problem. The forcible entry prop, again, one that we use in the academy. They'll be introduced to a Halligan and a sledgehammer, and with that, they will be taught how specific placement and use of leverage as well as body mechanics will give them the advantage that they need and the power to be able to force that door and get to the other side for whatever the objective is they need to reach. So the problem and solution issues, there's a lot of problems that get brought to your attention. What I'm bringing you tonight is a solution. So we know that there's a problem out there about diversity in the fire service and women coming into the fire service. The misnomer is that women don't want to be firefighters, and the actuality is they do. It's one of those things that's not presumed to be a possibility or an opportunity for them. And the women in the fire service currently, starting from the very beginning, are here to basically say, it is an opportunity, and this is how we can show them and have the opportunity for them to actually perform this and see it is very tangible. They just need the right motivation and the mentors to help them through this experience to see that they truly can achieve this. So why a fire camp for women? So first of all, we want to empower and support the young leaders in our community. We want to be able to show them what lies and rests in them that is yet to be free, and actually have them not just lead among their peers, but see how they can actually lead in the community by the representatives that are there to mentor them. And they see that reflection of themselves in them to be able to now believe this is an opportunity and a goal for me. And the fire service itself is not just about who is in the suppression side, putting water on the fire or rendering aid in medical issues, but also the many units that are actually part of the fire family, right? So whether it's logistics, whether it's clerical, whether it's you, the board, or dispatch. There's females that are operating in all of these positions, that these are career opportunities for them. We bring the whole fire family to the camp, show them these opportunities and how we work collaboratively together, and how that bridge works where men are working closely with women and actually supporting women in them in the fire service. Even if they're not doing that support at home, we'll show them it's possible, and we'll encourage you to help you on that pipeline. Our history. So the history of the girls' camp actually started in 1999 in San Diego, whenever they put on the first mini camp. And that was the inspiration for Blaze, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But LA City really took that and flew with it. And LA City being that big, large department, obviously they've got a large populace to work with. And the finances to be able to help. But it's not just about big departments and what they do. It's actually all of us can do it. LA City does host multiple camps a year, and they truly were the ones that introduced it to us and helped us realize what the potential was, taught us literally how to put this program together, and then encouraged us to go out with the seeds that they planted and spread them so that this movement grows and this vision of women in the fire service. So it's a flexible program. It doesn't matter if you're a big city like LA, or if you're a smaller city, or really truly one of our neighbors among us. So if you have never known before, the girls' camps, whether you're Oakland Fire, whether you're Alameda County Conglomerate that is a nonprofit here, or whether you're Sacramento, Sac Metro, and for those of you who didn't know, Sac Metro actually participated in our 2018 camp with the TAPA as well as personnel showing up to help us out. West Sac, Woodland, Folsom Fire, El Dorado Fire, everybody comes together. Why? Because women in the fire service realize the best way for us to recruit women into the fire service is to go out and show them, hey, we're here. We do know how to do this job. Yes, we look different. Yes, we may accomplish things different because we use different body mechanics. And even if you want to be a mother and raise children, you can still do this as a profession and still have a family and still raise children. And we have the answers to the questions they're asking because we have lived this experience. We want to share the possibilities with them and how we can achieve that. Even small departments like Clover City Fire Department, this is less than 40,000 people populace, right? And they're pulling it off. And there's multiple ways in which you can do that. There's nonprofits that have formed. We don't have a lot of stats to say exact numbers of girls that have gone through the fire camps and then been hired by the fire departments. We can tell you overall what we've collected in stats. It's about a 15% of girls that have gone through that have actually ended up as a career firefighter or a volunteer reserve. So, but what we can tell you is that this movement has spread across the west of the United States and now moving across the nation, where we're getting people literally from the East Coast in Texas and the West States to be able to come in and join us. And these nonprofits that we're forming, because we don't necessarily always have access to the money of large agencies to support this or logistics of this, these are women that donate their time. They pay the travel, the hotel, and all of that to come out, put these camps together and help out. So we have a large group of women that we pull from of all ranks, whether it's chiefs, retired chiefs, all the way down to brand new firefighters that volunteer to come out and help out at these camps. And these camps are popping up all over the place. So much so that, how many of you know what Chicago Fire really is? Chicago Fire a couple of years actually hosted one of their episodes and where they had the girls camp. So it is something that is becoming more well-known, more participated in. It's been successful, and you know it's successful because how many people are invested in making this spread and happen and giving this opportunity to as many girls as we possibly can. These are just a few of our partners, one of which I'll talk about is Blaze, where it says Fire Camp for Young Women. So Blaze is kind of the mothership of what we've done here because they truly were the nonprofit that grew nationwide, right? So even though they operate primarily on the West Coast, their reach and what they've done to expose women to the fire service has been nationwide. So they actually host a number of things. It's not just girls' fire camps, but the girls' fire camp for Blaze is actually a week-long camp where it's a resident camp, right? They come, they stay, they live there for the week. So it's not just building team building skills and going through the actual live fire scenarios with the propane-fed props, but they're getting to extricate cars. They're actually doing forcible entry and running saws and doing ventilation and doing smoked out buildings for rescue and search and things like that. But we also have women in fire. So we talk about a pipeline of progression, right? So we grab these girls from high school and we've given this opportunity, but then once they become firefighters, we actually want to help them hone their skills, right? So they get a chance to go and they figure out just on probation what it looks like to be a female firefighter. And now they have these added questions. They can come to events like Women in Fire and have those questions answered and work alongside other women to give them tips and tricks and techniques to say, hey, even though you might be shaped a little different or accomplished in a different way, you still get it done. And this is how you can be successful, as well as mentor them and encourage them to progress in the fire service and promote, which we all know we struggle with in the fire service, having women actually promote. So it seems like a really simple concept for someone like me. Being a suppression captain coming into the office, I look at it, I may not understand everything from the 30,000 foot level, but I look and I go, hey, we cross drop boundaries all the time to help people out for medical aids. We cross boundaries all the time to help you out for fires. Why not drop the barriers for women in the fire service and help these young ladies see not only what their potential is, but empower them to actually achieve it. Together as a team, as a region, the community that we effectively live in and work with each and every day is shared. They go to their friend's house, they travel throughout the community to be able to participate in businesses or different events and things like that. And as a team together, we can actually help these young ladies realize their potential for this career in the fire service and actually help them achieve it. It's time to know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Captain Moore. Does anyone have any questions for her about this program?
Is there a way, after they go through the day that they are like assigned a mentor, or what do they do for follow-up then with the post the going through the day?
So as we've evolved through these programs, we've definitely identified that as being something we want to be able to hold the information, the people that are interested, the ladies that are interested, we want to be able to capture their information so that we can get back to them. So we do actually, part of the electronic application that they fill out, all of that is kept in a database where we can go back now and email to them, as well as they have contact information for the mentors that they meet in camp, their group leaders that they can contact or answer question answer sessions or how to.
Perfect, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
What is the age limit on the for these young women that participate in the program?
So we want to target high school age girls. And so while we realize not all high school age girls come in as a freshman at 14 and not all of them, while they're still seniors in high school, might be 18. So, but that is generally our age, but high school girls.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions out there?
Yeah, this is Director White. It's not really a question. I just wanted to thank Sharon McIntyre for coming in this evening and providing this presentation. I've always been impressed by her as a role model for women in the fire service, and I'm glad to see her just expanding that role as a liaison and ambassador for the girls' camp. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Captain Moore.
Thank you.
One last question.
Go ahead, Director. What's all?
We have, I assume, process whereby we can get in touch with them.
Absolutely. So you actually have a liaison with your organization that I work closely with, both to help us logistically as well as personnel or any opportunity that might want to take advantage of.
Great. Great. Thank you.
Madam President, Vice President, I would very much like to thank Captain McIntyre for coming. It's been several years. I've been hearing always good things about girls' camp, Blaze Camp, and it's wonderful. It's just wonderful to see it crescendoing and building. So thank you very much, Captain. We appreciate all of this information and we will put it to use.
Thank you, Captain Moore. Thank you very much for your presentation. It was very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity to share.
All right, our next presentation is division redistricting. We have Jeff.
I believe that's me.
All right.
Thank you, Director Sailors, and good evening, everyone. I am here to quickly present and introduce the redistricting project that we are working on. And just want to quickly remind you where we're at and where we're headed. A couple of weeks ago, we were in front of the board with this topic. And as a quick reminder, special districts are required to evaluate division boundaries every 10 years after the census update. And then if the need is required to redistrict based on population changes within the district, then that's something that should be considered. So in fact, Metro has added approximately 80,000 people in our jurisdiction over the last 10 years, which triggered this need. So at that time, the board formed a subcommittee to evaluate the demographic data and recommend new division boundaries to the board for consideration. So that subcommittee group has now met twice, once to review the data and then secondly, to start working on some proposed changes to the division boundaries. So I will say generally, the subcommittee focused on redistributing populations in the Foothill Farms, North Highlands, Arcade, and Florin communities, simply because those communities are very dense for us, very highly populated. And by focusing on those communities, the major changes to other district boundaries were avoided. Simply, that was the simplest solution to the problem. So with that, I'm going to invite Jacob Thompson Fisher from Redistricting Partners to the podium to walk the directors through some of the details. And as Jacob goes through the details, I'd ask you to think about your district and think about the communities you represent and how these changes might affect your communities. And then quickly, after Jacob is done presenting for us as a district, next steps, the board can, after the information is presented, the board can ask for additional maps to be considered. Alternatively, you could also accept the proposal from the subcommittee members. If accepted, staff will post the proposed subdivision map on the website. We also release a public notice for comment from the public, and that would be at the October 28th board meeting. And then we've received comments from the public. And then finally, if there were no additional details needed, we would move for adoption at the November 9th committee meeting. So with that, Jacob, please.
Hi, how's everyone doing? Good, have some dry stuff to talk through, so hopefully we can make it through that. Thank you very much. So we are here this evening to present and discuss the draft plans that were constructed with your subcommittee. We will briefly cover some of the traditional redistricting principles that we engage in drawing draft maps and preparing plans. We will show the draft plan that was drawn in your subcommittee, and we'll briefly discuss next steps for these plans. In redistricting, there are a number of traditional principles that are accepted as the right way, or at least the best way to do things. Obviously, relatively equal size is your first order priority. You want districts to represent an equal number of persons, with the ideal being one person, one vote. You want districts to be contiguous. You want them to entirely contain or touch themselves. You don't want one little piece on one side of your jurisdiction and then another little piece on the other side and then something up in a corner somewhere. You want them to be as much touching themselves as possible. You want to maintain what are called communities of interest. Communities of interest can be a large number of things. I want to make sure, sorry, that we didn't have a detailed breakdown for you there. But communities of interest can be a large number of things. They can be anything from a neighborhood association to maybe a church group. They can be a volleyball league. They can be any group of persons who share a common interest and who might engage with you in a common way. We also want to make sure that we follow those last two priorities as much as possible, which are to maintain designated place boundaries. So those are city lines. Those are what we would call natural boundaries. They're lines that are already drawn for us. They save us a little time, and they also indicate where your communities of interest are. and keeping districts compact, both in appearance and function. Now, these things are different because something that follows a freeway may look like it's very sprawled out, but in function, getting from one ramp to the next might be very quick. So in function, that is relatively compact, despite not appearing to be compact. And these are interesting things to balance throughout the process. After we discussed these issues with the subcommittee, we took the following items into consideration. Sorry, I realize I might be blocking that screen a little bit. We wanted to make sure that the structure of the districts was kept vis-a-vis the river. So we wanted to keep 6 districts north of the river, 3 districts south of the river. We wanted to balance these districts as much as practicable. So we wanted to make sure that they were as close to balance with each other as we could get them without breaking that very natural boundary of the river. We wanted to minimize the number of times that we split cities or crossed city boundaries in this process. And we wanted to try to make sure that areas where growth is expected, perhaps where you're opening new fire stations or where you're anticipating expansion, were slightly smaller than your other districts. This is sort of a secondary objective that we operate under in many places where growth is expected. This will help keep you in balance throughout the next decade. And so when this comes up again, you have a little bit less work to do. This was the draft plan that was created by the subcommittee. And it might be a little difficult to see at that distance, but this is your draft lines with, oh, I'm sorry, I'm misreading my own slide. These are your 2011 lines. These are your current lines. I apologize for that. These are your current lines with underlying cities. And as you can see, there's not too much split. You do maintain that river boundary very nicely, which is why it makes a very easy target to maintain. And as you can see, your deviations are a little high. Your District 6 is overpopulated by 10% above its ideal population. And your District 9 is underpopulated by 14%. So that means you need to get a lot more people into your District 9, and you need to get a lot fewer people out of your District 6. Based on the live line drawing and meeting compliance with VRA and CVRA standards, we crafted a draft plan. This is your draft plan. Apologies for that. So some of your changes are rather minimal. They will be a little bit less noticeable. We did some work to try and unify some of your cities in your northern districts. In your southern districts, the changes needed were actually very minimal. Your growth was largely in that western leg of your district, which meant that it was relatively simple to balance 9 with 4. So your District 9 and your District 4 came back into balance by just moving population a little bit there. And those blue dots you see are your current fire stations, and a couple of them are planned. They are not current, but we used the most up-to-date version of a fire station shape that we could reasonably get in there for you. This is your lines compared with current lines. Makes it a little bit easier to see where your changes were. So your District 2 actually kind of compacted itself. It actually became a little bit more square and rectangular. And then if you look, your District 3 almost doesn't change. So a lot of your districts actually had very minimal changes that needed to be made. And very small tweaks were needed to actually bring you back into balance. And under this draft plan, as you can see, your District 4 is back to about 5 to 6% underpopulated. So it's much closer to that ideal number. And your District 9 is only about 4% underpopulated. Whereas on the north side of your district, you only have about 2.3% over in your largest district. Now this means you have a cumulative deviation, which is what we use to judge plans, of actually 7.9%, which is a little higher than most of the plans that we build from scratch, but very good for a plan that was built based on existing lines. And as we see here, we have staff's timeline for upcoming meetings and presentations. This, of course, is the October 14th map presentation. And we cycle right back into the maps. That actually concludes what I have to bring to you for now, but I am happy to answer any questions you might have, or of course.
No, sure. It's just, I would just ask the board for any questions or comments now.
Yes.
Director Sayles, we'll turn it back over to you.
Does anyone have any questions?
Madam Chair, can we go back to the maps for just a second? And because this is perhaps an overlay, that's why it looks a little odd.
Perhaps, yes, depending on the question.
Yeah. Okay. You know what, I'm sorry, I can't.
Is there a specific district? Because I have individual slides for each.
Okay, no, it just has to do with this one. Thank you, sir. Okay, so District 8
Okay,
has 3 colors.
yes, so let me.
City or 4, City of Rancho Cordova. What's this one?
Yeah, that's Gold River.
Okay,
Hold on
thank you.
one moment.
No, that answers my question.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't know,
Sure.
I couldn't
Yeah.
figure out what that section was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank
Of
you,
course,
Jacob.
of course. Yeah, and Jeff had it for you too, so. And the unshaded is unincorporated, in case that isn't immediately clear. So anything that's a white background just means there's no designated place, it's just unincorporated.
Well, actually, there's a section that looks blue, and that is an unincorporated area.
Over here?
No, sir.
Right there?
It's in section 8, that's why I happen to know.
That one?
Go west, the farthest west,
In,
little piece sticking out.
oh, that little bit right there. That's actually City of Sacramento. This little leg right here.
It is a census designated place called Water.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
the
I know. There's
one,
Laura Riviera, there's
yeah, there's.
College Greens East
Right,
Homeowners
sure.
Association, there's Rosemont, and then there's Brecka.
Yes.
So this is in the,
Sorry.
I'm sorry, is this Watt Avenue? What is this?
Yes.
South Water.
Okay, this is this is unincorporated area.
Correct.
It is still part of designated place, which is a slight differentiation from what you might consider your normal city boundary.
Thank
But-
you.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Go ahead, Director Gould.
Thank you. Would it be possible, in order for each director in their area to get a micro version of their boundaries with street names and those kinds of things, or the slide that you say you have, so that we could kind of zoom in? Because at this screen that I'm currently seeing, it's very difficult to see exactly what street lines we're talking about for the boundary.
Yes, I do believe that we have
Yes.
maps that we can break that down.
Absolutely. There are two things at hand. One is the complete deck has slides for individual districts. And there's also a web viewable map that we have, I believe, sent that you can zoom in on as close as you like.
Okay, you say you've sent that. Where has that been sent to? I've scoured my email and don't see it.
It apparently our staff person who was coordinating did not actually send that along with the rest of the packet. I will make sure that that gets.
Excellent. Yes, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Sorry about that.
Are there any other questions? Concerns, thoughts?
Madam Chair, I'd like to thank Jacob. I know our redistricting ad hoc committee benefited greatly from your talents, Jacob. And that thing got set up and we're looking at the census parts and the populations, and with the IT talents that you have, we were able to
Thank you very much.
add and add up, take away, and actually not without too much pain, come to some new potential boundaries.
Thank you.
So my question is, when will we be able to get these individual maps that Director Gould's asking for?
If I may, I don't seem to be getting a changeover right now. Perfect. Thank you. So these individual maps should be a part of a packet that is not only in this slide deck, but that I will also make sure is sent directly to the board. And then additionally, along with these will be a version that you can open in a web browser and that you can see these lines just on a map. It's very simple. There's nothing, there's no numbers or anything to it. You just zoom in to see if your street is in this district or that one. And that's all it's really for.
Zoom in to see the street levels.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, and it's intended for that purpose specifically, so that you can zoom in and see those details.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Moving on to action items.
I just have one quick question.
Certainly.
So do we, I know that we're on a time schedule. I'm just not 100% sure of each one of those moving parts from this point forward, Jeff. So I know some stuff has to be posted online. Could you just go through that one more time?
Sure. So I think what I heard from Director Gould is a little time to evaluate the line specifically after this meeting tonight would help. I would think there'd be communication between staff and the board to determine if the lines are acceptable or not. If we do get an affirmative from all the directors, we would be back in front of the board at the next board meeting with an official hearing on the subject.
But do we have to post these lines somewhere now?
Yes, so
Okay.
if we do hear an affirmative back from the directors, we will post them on our website.
So when would you want to have that review by then, Jeff? Or how are we going to do that to make sure we don't, I just know we're really tight on the time side. So what do we need to do to make sure that happens?
I would ask
Manages?
I would ask the directors, how much time do you think you need to review? And then I would also ask the board clerk, how much time do we need to post? I believe it's 5 days prior.
Yes,
to
for the
the
public
meeting.
hearing. So that would be basically the Friday before the next week's board meeting.
If I could get 72 hours, I'd be happy.
I imagine why we can't get back to you by Monday.
Yeah.
We can get them to each other, everybody, and
Is everybody agreeable to that? That if we get these in our email tomorrow, that on Monday, we can have the board clerk with our yay or nay on these maps.
Sure, I have a quick question for Jacob.
Oh, there.
No, do you have, for example, excuse me, do you have a close-up of the street boundaries for District 2, for example? Do you have that right now?
I do not have that in the slide deck for you. If you want me to show you something in a few minutes or perhaps post adjournment, I'd be happy to show that to you. Otherwise, I'll send the close-up version of the web map that you can zoom in on.
Well, I was just trying to address Director Gould's question tonight, but if everybody's fine with sending it out tomorrow, that's okay too.
I'm not sure I heard Director Gould's question as pertaining to a street boundary.
Yes, you would like
We
to
wanted
see
names.
the district
Right.
maps with
Okay.
street names.
Certainly, yes, that will be going out tonight, yes.
And for information for everybody, I mean, the subcommittee has the same issues.
Yes.
We wanted to be able to zoom in and zoom out
Mhm.
and identify exactly where we were.
Right.
So Director Gould, the subcommittee shared those exact same concerns.
Excellent. Thank you.
so that then is, we'll get them out and then respond back by Monday evening of business. And then by Friday of next week, we'll have to have them, if everything's good, we'll have to have them posted so that we continue the process forward.
For the public hearing on the 28th.
All right. Thank
And
you.
my assumption is that if you don't hear back from us, then everything is fine.
Right.
I would ask director for an affirmative. I think that's important for the process.
Yeah,
I agree. So there has to be some way to track that it's been received by a director because we're talking about over a weekend.
Right.
Every
Noted.
director must respond or nay?
And Jacob will send it to me, so I'll be sending it individually to each of you. And the two directors who are not here as well to explain to them what our plan was.
Close that loop, yeah,
Right.
perfect. Thank you.
All right, then, is everyone clear on that?
Yeah. There is
No, I just thank you, just to keep it going. I mean, I think it's just so important for us.
Yes, thank you for that clarification now. Okay, let's move on to action items. Number 1 brings us to the Sacramento Local Agency Formation Commission, the LAFCO election. And Director Jones,
Madam Chair,
what shall we do with this? We
Well-
have Special District Commissioner Office number 6. It's under the A, and then B, we have the alternate Special District Commissioner Office number 6 and 7.
well, as many of you know, each county in the state of California has a local agency formation commission, which is a fancy word for boundary commission. And here in Sacramento County, it consists of 7 folks, 2 from special districts with an alternate, 1 from the city of Sacramento with an alternate, another city representative that rotates amongst the remaining incorporated cities in our county. And we have 2 from the county, and we have a member of the public. So that constitutes the commission board, 7 folks. This year, I am up for re-election, and I hope for this board support and other special districts to continue as special district commissioner for LAFCO. The incumbent for the alternate position is also on our ballot. 1 alternate for special districts subs for either seat number 7 or seat number 6. That means they have the voting, they have the power to vote on the commission in the absence of one of the other commissioners. So with that said, I'd appreciate support from this group, and I'd also like to nominate the incumbent the incumbent alternate to special districts, Charlie Moore, who represents Rio Linda Park Recreation and Park District. That would be, I'll make that a motion. Oh, but of course, any questions, comments?
Questions or comments?
This is
Madam-
Director White.
Madam Chair, I have a quick question.
Yes, Director Gould.
Is it possible, in an attempt to save our colleague any challenges to that motion, is it possible for one of us that's not running for that office to make the motion and second it so that Director Jones doesn't get herself in a pickle down the road?
I was my same thought.
I- Director Gould.
So if that's the case, I make a motion that we adopt for the special district offices number 6 and 7, Gay Jones for 6, and I apologize, the name
Charlie
of
Moore.
and Charlie Moore for the alternate 7.
I second that.
I have a motion on the table and a second.
I believe we have to separate the votes, so.
Okay,
Okay, fine. Motion is edited for number 6 will be Gay Jones.
Second.
Second.
That doesn't match the ballot. The ballot says Division 7 or Office 7 is Gay Jones.
That's what I thought on our others.
Oh, my apologies. That is correct. Office number 7.
okay, shall we correct the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think my first and second still stands for office number 6.
No,
No, so the agenda
Motion.
is incorrect, so
motion should be for Office number 7, Gay Jones.
Okay.
And I will maintain my second.
Takes a village.
there we go.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second.
Director Gould and Director Clark.
Yes,
Perfect.
so Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Director Gould.
Aye.
Marzali.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Aye.
Sailors.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, for the second, for the alternate special district commissioner,
Number 7.
I'll move for the alternate commissioner for offices 6 and 7, Charlie Moore.
Second.
there we have a motion. Ted Wood and Ellen Clark. Please call the roll.
Director Gould,
Aye.
Gardali,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Sailors.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. The next action item, notice of award, RFP 21-04, architecture and engineering services, Station 23, remodel and expansion. Jeff Braun.
Thank you, Director Sailors. I'm back. So I think the conversation we had with the redistricting is actually a good segue and tie to this project. We're here with the staff recommendation to approve a contract for architects and engineering services between the district and Jeff Katz Architecture. This is really the first major remodel project we brought to the board for consideration. And there are a number of factors of why we chose this station. There's a lot of stations that need to be remodeled and updated, but I just want to take you through some of that decision-making process. First, the district has identified, 4 multi-company stations that were non-conforming for the gender accommodations. So the first 3 of those stations, the remodels have been or will be completed in-house by staff, and some of that work is ongoing. However, Station 23 actually requires a modification to the design. So we need to retain a professional to do that work. Secondly, there are other non-conforming aspects to Station 23 that will need to be addressed. So once we pull the permit to do the remodel for that purpose, of course, building code and fire code will require us to take on every other issue in the station. Third, related to the issue of the redistricting, population density in Foothill Farms and North Highlands has increased. Through that corridor, almost 30,000 people have been added over the last 10 years. As you can imagine, that is increased call volume. I mean, something Chief Mitchell talks a lot about. So as we think about what that corridor needs to look like moving forward for additional new service, the remodels also need for expansion. Anytime we touch a station or do a major remodel project, we want to think about the next 50 years of the life of the thing. So as we start to contemplate those factors, we will likely need to bring back the Battalion 12 at some point in the future over the life of this station. Station 23 is a good location for that. We like to be able to accommodate new apparatus as well. So those are all factors that we considered when we brought this project to the board. A couple of challenges and constraints. This is an active station. It's very busy. We expect that it would need to stay in operation during the project. That is a significant challenge for an architect and engineering firm to consider. The site is small, less than an acre. It may not be able to accommodate a 5-bay, 15-bed design that we need to accommodate. So the architect and engineering firm is going to have to get creative when they start to contemplate how we fit that onto that site. And finally, there are going to be budget challenges. This will be an expensive project. So we estimate that the design should be phased and it should reflect that. So if we as a district have to phase and prioritize aspects of this project, there should be a logical start and stopping point in the design to be able to spread us a couple of years. So with that, staff released RFP 2104 to a pre-qualified list of architects that the board approved some years ago. And 3 firms responded to that request. So you will note the selection committee rated the 2 top firms very closely, well qualified, responses were great. However, the 3rd firm rates significantly lower than the other 2. So I just want to bring to the board's awareness, generally speaking, That firm suggested the site challenges and constraints were too significant to overcome, and therefore suggested that we do a site survey, a feasibility study, to potentially find a new location for Station 23. So I would, to that end, I would like to note that we've done a number of deployment studies, and the Station 23 location is in fact the correct location. So if that is the case, the problem we are trying to solve is how do we maximize that site for future operations? So that is what we posed in the RFP for the consultants to address. And to that end, that particular proposer did not choose to respond to those specific requests we asked for. Specifically, what would your approach be in this project? And then what is the cost associated with that? Since this particular proposer did not present a cost to us to consider, we had no way to evaluate it against the other proponent or the other submissions. So thereby you have a lower score. So with that explanation, we have a staff recommendation, and we ask the board approve the fire chief to enter this contract with Jeff X Architecture. Any questions?
Are there any questions out there?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we adopt staff's recommendation for RFP 2104 Architecture and Engineering Services as described in the presentation.
Second. We have one question that's being
You want to
answered.
finish the vote? Or you wanna-
I would like to-
All right. Question then for, is it the intent then, this new firm is going to do a proposal with using the existing site?
Yes.
Okay, so
And we will maximize that site to the fullest extent that we can.
is there anything that makes you think that our goals can't be accomplished on that site?
I believe they can be accomplished, and I have reason to believe that.
Thank you.
Okay, Director Gould. Motion?
Who made this motion?
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
We have a
We
second.
have a second. Can you call the roll, please?
Yes. Director Gould,
Aye.
Porzelli,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Aye.
Millers.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Moving on to the third action item, ratification of resolution to extend teleconference of board meetings, Government Code 54953E. So this was earlier, was on the consent agenda. Council Lavra has informed us that we need to actually have a discussion about this. So the board should consider and discuss this, the circumstances of the state emergency, and whether the state of emergency continues to directly impact the ability of the members to meet safely in person. And if we do find that, then we can continue on with the Zoom, because the new law doesn't take effect until January. That's what I understand. So this month we must discuss it.
We actually have to discuss it every month, every board
Yeah.
meeting, and it can go through 2024, I believe, January of 2024.
So we must discuss it and then vote on it to be able to continue Zoom meetings every month. So are there any questions, concerns?
Madam Chair, I have a quick question. You said that there's a state law that will kick in January 1st, but we don't have to keep doing this, or we do have to keep doing this till 2024, or withdrawal of the emergency declaration?
Correct. So the way that they wrote, the law is actually already passed, as far as I understand, which is
Yeah.
allowing us to do this, which is why we had to decide at the last board meeting to vote on it.
Right.
If we want to continue, you have a discussion each 30 days cycle to make sure that we're still in a place where we should continue the hybrid portion of the meetings, or we're not subject to the previous Brown Act teleconference rules. If that is the case, if the board decides that, then the resolution will continue to be re-ratified each 30 days until you so revoke it or don't pass it basically at the next meeting. But per John Labra and our general counsel, obviously, we need to hear about it every 30 days to determine if we're still in the state of emergency and should consider following through with the Zoom.
Madam Chair, I think we've had a lot of discussion so far on this, and I would like to move that resolution. Make a motion to accept
Is there a
the
second
resolution.
up there?
The second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, call roll, please.
Director Gould,
Aye.
Valley,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Sailors.
Aye.
Motion
Thank you. Reports, President's report. I have nothing. Chief's report.
Good evening, directors. It's been 3 weeks. It has flown by quickly. Some recruitments that are out there right now. The district is recruiting internally for a firefighter paramedic. This will be for the Academy 22-1. That academy is tentatively scheduled to start on February 24th. We have a reassignment opportunity for an EMS shift captain. That will close on the 18th. A career development opportunity, as you all know, we're moving forward with the mobile integrated health. That would be a firefighter paramedic on special assignment. That position will close on 10/20 at 4 p.m. I want to congratulate Captain Ryan Pittman. He was selected to fulfill the Water Rescue Program Manager, and he started that on September 27th. Also last week, congratulations to 10 of our members who successfully passed the fire captain's examination. They had gone through and did the written portion of it, and then invited to 3 phases of the captain's examination, and 10 members are moving forward. Chief Mitchell will be having pre-employment interviews, or has just completed most of the pre-employment interviews, and they are putting together a timeline and the assignments for those members that will be getting promoted here really shortly, but there are 10 members that are on the list. As far as meetings go, we've had multiple station visits and a number of meetings with line personnel. The last few days, Chief Mitchell and I have been in between the wind events and grass fires, doing station visits and hanging out with the members and listening to what's going on. 4 of our members, along with Chief Wagaman, at the end of September and the 1st of October, attended the International Women in the Fire Service Conference in Spokane, Washington. A lot of very positive feedback. We have a meeting set up here just in the near future to sit down and with the individuals that were able to go, what were some of the takeaways that they had here, what were there, what were some of the things that they would like to be able to bring back. And then when we have our next cultural meeting of the district, we'll have those members talk about that experience and what information they had found and what they can take and bring back to us. September 24th through the 26th was the Capitol Air Show. I was pleasantly surprised about the amount of people that attended, even though they thought as it being a much smaller show, people wanted to get out and about, and from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it was very well attended. Myself and the executive staff met with the city. Again, no real agenda, but just going through day in and day out operations and maintaining our relationships. And the last thing, just on meetings and everything, is just to thank you out there to the members, their commitment and the service that we provide. If you look at the wind event the last few days, the amount of activity, we see increased call volume across there. Happy to report that our Type 3 engine that was deployed along with the strike team leaders are back. But as you guys have seen with the wind and everything, we continue to be on the bubble to leave and go out again. The last thing I just want to talk about is Captain Parker and the PIO group has been out with the cancer awareness campaign. October and November, we support that with the wrapping of the Metro engine. Captain Parker, along with his crew, have put together just a number of events that will be going on. I had the opportunity on Friday to go out with the Metro engine, along with the city engine, and along with the Kings. And we went around to a number of cancer survivors and people that are still in treatment. And the Kings had a gift bag for them, along with some tickets It's an annual event and that I've enjoyed doing each and every year, but going out and going around, really both in the city and the district has been great. But they are partnership with 522 for wrapping it, the Sacramento Kings, the River Cats. I know they were out there, the Republic FC, Paint Sacramento Pink, along with a number of other agencies that we participate in. Captain Parker's doing just a great job out there. That ends my report, unless you have any questions.
I see that.
Yes, sir.
I just want to say, congratulations. It's been about 5 years this week, right?
I think tomorrow is 5 years
Yes,
exactly.
That was my memory, so
Thank you,
congratulations.
sir. Thank you. If I make it to tomorrow, I've got 5. Chief Mitchell, you want to give us our operations report?
Absolutely. Thanks, Chief. Good evening, directors. Sorry. Adam Mitchell, Deputy Chief Operations, here tonight to give you the Operations Board report. Looking forward to the pin presentation and talking about that.
Oh, yeah, that'll be coming soon.
That's right. He just gave me my 20-year pin and I had to stand up and tell a story at the last minute. So that'll be fun. Anyway, so a couple items for me tonight from the training side of the house. We've got our Academy Class 21-1, still with 19 recruits. They're in week 15. They're going through wildland training this week, doing well out there. They're graduating. They'll be graduating here, scheduled for the evening of November 5th. More details to come on that. So that's some exciting news. And then also I talked about last time our Fireground Survival Train the Trainer course that we had grant funded through IAFF and a number of cooperators. We finished that up back on the 30th of September. And we're going to look forward to starting the district-wide rollout for all suppression personnel to go through that training starting in December all the way through the spring. You can understand an undertaking of a multiple day class for every person on the line to be able to go through is a huge undertaking for training to schedule, but we're going to start that and we'll go on for over 3 or 5 months. So that'll be good. We haven't done something like that as far as Fireground Survival for a number of years. Some of us that have been around maybe remember back in the lumberjack days, we had some things way back in the early 2000s, but it's time to do that again. And there's some great skills in there: entanglement, getting out of when you get trapped in wires, and some mayday prevention, ladder bailout skills and things like that. That there's those not often used skills, but when you need them, you want to know how to do them. So we're looking forward to that. On the EMS side of the house, again, we're doing the full district-wide training on ACLS and CPR this month. It's ongoing. We're finishing that up on October 29th. So thank you to the EMS division for facilitating that. And also happy to report with the recent graduation and us welcoming 13 new SRP program members, we're able to reopen our SRP Medic 109 full-time. And we're almost there to get SRP Medic 112 back up to full staffing. We're 1 member shy of that, but that gives us that additional coverage almost every day. We're just a little bit short of that. So that's great news for our ambulance coverage. As Chief Harms mentioned, our OES update. Our Type 3 strike team with our engine 8433 out of Station 29 has returned. We also have strike team leader Captain Jeff Taylor and trainee Adam House out there down at the KMP complex to the east of Fresno area. And they have come back and are doing well. We did great work down there. All reports are from the incident management team. They did a fantastic job. The only person we have currently out on deployment with his incident management team is Captain Dwayne Miller up on the McCash fire, the 6 Rivers National Forest up by Happy Camp, they call it, but I think that's a misnomer for all of us to know that area up there. So he's up there. I'm looking forward to having him come back soon. For CERT, this was notable just due to the number of hours. Our CERT program donated 649 hours in the month of September. So that's a huge number for those folks. They're out there doing a great job and supporting us on incidents, as well as responding to the Callaware fire and doing some things up there. So that's a really positive thing. They also donated a total of 413 hours to the Capital City Air Show that Chief Harms had mentioned. So they're out there doing great work with us. And then finally, some statistics and incidents. Since our last meeting, we've had 6,283 calls. It's an average of just under 300 calls a day. And we compare that time frame over last year's time frame, that's an increase of calls of 8.7%. So we're continuing to get busier out there, as we've been mentioning before. As far as incidents goes, a couple of items to note. Back on September 28th, we had a fire in Battalion 5. Director Saylor's familiar with the 28th and U Street. We had an impact to a residence up there, a historic residence. It was built over 100 years ago. I'm happy to report that our crews, although it did sustain some damage, did a great job on limiting that damage. It was a 10-acre fire. They had some spot fire problems they were dealing with, some water supply issues. But they got in there and really did a good job of getting that extinguished prior to that historic home being a total loss. So that's some good news. And then again, Chief Harms mentioned back on October 11th, this past Monday, we had a red flag event, multiple fires in the district. If anybody was watching the news, you probably saw one out in the Rancho Marietta area. It didn't get very large, but based off of the fuel that it was burning in, it got to about 5 acres. There was 4-foot deep pile of hay and other things that were burning. And so it put off a heck of a column. We went out there. I went out there. Chief Harms also went out there, and we did that was in the SRA. So we worked collaboratively with CAL FIRE. And we were able to get that extinguished over a couple of days with a lot of work from our crew. So they did a great job out there. And then again, we're at the red flag condition today through this evening. And I've been watching CAB and monitoring the incidents out there. We have 2 significant incidents going on that our members are heavily involved in. One is a grass fire up on the Garden Highway. We've got at least 11 different companies up there helping out on the north end. And then down in the Wilton Fire District, there was an aircraft accident today that our members also responded to. So it's been another busy day out there for our folks, but everybody's doing well. So that's the end of the operations report unless there's any questions.
Questions? Thank you. Firefighter Local 522 report.
Captain Overbrook earlier,
Yeah, he was one.
but I don't see him now. Do you see him either? No. Okay.
Next is committee and delegate reports. Executive committee, I have nothing. Communication Center, JPA, DC Wagner.
Good evening, directors. Hope everyone's doing well. The last Dispatch JPA board meeting was on October 12th, this last Tuesday. During that board meeting, we had 4 action items that were approved. The first was a quotation with a company called Concern for employee assistance program resources. So we're just making some changes, adding some additional resources to the staff there at the comm center. So should the event come about that they actually need some services like that, they have yet another option on top of the setter agreement that we currently have in place. 2 additional resolutions, they coincide with each other. A requirement by PERS, one was to fix the employer contributions under the Employee Medical and Hospital Care Act. And the next one was the public agencies vesting under section 22-893 of the Public Employees Medical and Hospital Care Act. And the last approved item was an updated board policy that covers our IT, some of our IT related information. So it covers the acceptable use of comm center information technology resources. So a policy that we continue to look at and update as the days go by. Staffing continues to be a challenge. Chief Bailey was successful in bringing back 2 retired annuitants. So congratulations to him. They are helping out on the floor already. And the current academy, 21-2, is doing well. They started with 10, they're down to 8, and the 8 that remain are doing fantastic. So hopefully we see 8 across the finish line here within the next couple of weeks. Another positive note to report is the comm center has been working on a new website for many months, and it has finally launched. So if you have an opportunity, please take a look at it. It'll be located at srfecc.ca.gov, a whole new look and feel. Please take a look and give us your feedback. Our next meeting is scheduled for November 9th at the Metro boardroom there at 9 o'clock in the morning. End of report.
Thank you very much, T.C. Wagner. Next is the California Fire and Rescue Training, JPA.
Thank you. We last met on September 24th. 2 items was discussion on the current classes. We will continue to offer classes until April 30th. So we discussed the classes, the filling of those classes and making sure that the financials were there to support it. The second half was a discussion with our attorneys on the dissolution of the JPA and moving forward. We are still on track for a June 30th dissolution date for closing the JPA. End of report.
Thank you. Finance and Audit Committee, Director Rosales.
Finance and Audit Committee has not met. Our next scheduled meeting is October 28th at 5:30 p.m. And my current calendar, so the board clerk is aware, the president is going, president's schedule to be out of the state.
Thank you. Policy Committee, Director Gould.
The policy committee met this evening and heard from our HR manager, Ms. Maddox, on the donated leave, represented, unrepresented sick leave, modified duty schedule for non-related injury 24-hour personnel, and the light duty recommendations. There were basic changes and edits to those documents, and no action was taken. They were only presentation items. Our next meeting is to be determined.
Next is the redistricting ad hoc committee. We have met twice and we have redesigned our district maps. We had a nice presentation tonight from Jacob, thank you very much. That's the end of my report. Next is board member questions and comments. Walt White. Is Walt there still?
No, it does not look like Walt is there, so.
Hey, John.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, hey, congratulations. 5 years there. Looking forward to getting some pictures with the pin on it there. And some stories as
I hope my pen has a little diamond on it.
oh, I take it back. I take back my previous. No, but seriously, Chief, congratulations on that. Hey, unbelievable hours for our CERT team. That is absolutely fantastic. These are volunteers, and we need to continue to recognize their contribution. It's just excellent. Thank you for supporting me as the special district representative, seat number 7, as we have. Thank you, Director Woods, for correcting that. Woo, that was, anyway. And I look forward to serving all special districts in the interest of the overall goals for LAFCO, which is appropriate growth and delivery of municipal services. So thank you all very much for that. And the last thing is a big shout out to Captain Sharon Moore McIntyre for her presentation on Girls Camp. It's a lot of times things take a while to get traction locally, even though it's been going on nationally for quite a while. To get that traction, to keep going is absolutely fantastic. I remember when some of these organizations first started in 1982 with Terry Florida and Linda Willing. And we had our first national conference, 1985 in Boulder, Colorado. It was a fantastic opportunity. And I am so pleased to hear that Metro is has participated and is continuing to participate in this recruitment of all the potential firefighters. All right, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Edward?
Director Jones said everything more eloquently than I could, so I'll just do it.
And yours all.
I want to thank the chief on this with us for an honor and a privilege to work with you. And so congratulations.
Thank you.
Director Gould.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Congratulations, Chief, on your 5-year accomplishment. And if you get a diamond, I'm going to ask for something different. I'd like to also thank my colleagues who have been serving on the redistricting ad hoc committee for all their work. I look forward to seeing the document and making some comments if necessary. And I appreciate all the work that the staff have been doing over the last several months. It's pretty impressive. So thank you very much. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Director Clark.
Oh,
Director Clark, are you frozen?
Director who?
Clark.
Oh, I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you well. Yes, I would like to thank the presenters for their presentations, especially Captain McIntyre. I think that's a great program. It will benefit our district in the future. It'll have more diversity among our employees, our population. And I just want to thank everybody for the work, the men and women from our district that are doing such a great job. They've been very busy with all these fires and all these issues that really are challenging. But other than that, that's all I got to say, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Director Clark. Tonight, congratulations, Chief, on your 5 years.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for tolerating my attempts at chairing this board. And I'm going to end it there and say meeting adjourned. We're going to close session now. And let's see what we can get done. Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, so everybody is back that was presently accounted for except for Director Gould.
All right, report out from closed session. The board met with its labor negotiator concerning the labor groups designated on the closed session agenda. No reportable action was taken. The board also met in closed session to discuss the fire chief's evaluation. No reportable action was taken. This meeting is now adjourned.
so done.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, that hurt.
No.
Just a little one, just up the top of my thing there, just a nice little diamond on there.
Well, we got.
I thought so.
something that's shaped
See,
like-
I thought so.
Something shaped like that. And it
I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah, me neither. I don't think I understand either.
did. Sharpie.